great quote I love to read is the greatest barrier to success is your fear of failure. Fear just stops so many people from doing what they want to do in life. It's a great acronym for fear, and that is false evidence appearing real. And yes, fear can appear so real at times. Whether you realize it or not, fear has shaped your likes and dislikes, chosen your friends, influenced your work, and even raised your children. Your fears can keep you from accepting yourself and realizing your full potential. All of us have fears: fear of rejection, fear of looking stupid, fear of not being good enough, fear of the past, and even fear of the future. It is your fears that stop you from doing many of the things you want to do in your life. Fear can be like a straitjacket that immobilizes and stagnates your growth and development. To control and even overcome fear, you must first know what you fear and try to understand why you fear it. By accepting and keeping company with it, you will eventually learn how to conquer it. Conquering fear does not mean destroying it. When you conquer something, you take control of it and become its master. No one can ever completely destroy fear, and why should you? It is an integral part of your protection system, whether you like it or not. Shift your thinking from being afraid of making mistakes to being afraid of not making a mistake. If you are not making any mistakes, you can be sure you are not learning and growing. Do I experience fear at times? Of course I do, but I do not allow my fears to stop me from stepping out in faith and going after my goals and plans for my life. My life experiences have taught me that on the other side of fear is growth. So the message today is stop allowing your fear of failure to stop you from manifesting the glorious plan God has for your life. Changing the way you see fear and seeing it as feedback rather than failure is one way I have found to overcome my fear of failing. So, as always, this is Ken saying, whatever you do this week, make sure you are awesome.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Make Health Your Habit Life. You could have been anywhere this evening, but you have chose to be with me here today with my special guest, and we're going to have some time to say good evening to everybody in a moment. But I really got a great show today. It's my first international guest, my first guest from overseas, and he's taking a little bit of time out from work. So we have got a great show for you today in the Make Health Your Habit show. Yes, we have a fantastic show for you today. And do you know, it's today's really dear to my heart, the subject we're talking about. I know many of you may know who have followed me over the time, but I'm a certified health coach. I qualified a number of years ago, and I was trained in various forms of nutrition. My mother, when she was alive, needed to lose some weight. She had, and unfortunately, she passed away through weight related issues. And she needed to lose some weight. And I did everything in my power to get her to lose weight. I mean, we went on a raw diet, which was, for everybody who eats raw, it was great. It worked. And it worked for her a little bit. But she was nearing 80. And she was used to eating a certain type of food all her life. So it was a challenge for her. So even though she embraced it as much as she couldn't really embrace it in the way I would have liked her to be able to lose the weight, because she was eating food she weren't used to. They weren't familiar to her. It's such a shame that the information that I've learned now is after her passing, because I say this often. If I had known what I know now, I believe I could have prolonged her life, because I would have been able to get her to eat foods that she was used to eating all of her life, and help her to lose weight. And, so what I do is part of the legacy to my mum. And it's about sharing the knowledge that I gained after her passing, that we can eat foods that we grow up on, foods that we remember we used to get every Sunday. The Sunday was a day that you had to get a proper meal. In my house, you couldn't get a takeaway on a Sunday. No way. That was like, no way. Proper meal. The peas were soaking from the night before, so you got a proper meal at least on a Sunday. And but I grew up thinking all the meals we used to eat were all fattening and all bad for me, and it wasn't great. But today we're going to share how you can eat fantastic Caribbean food and still stay healthy. But as always, I like to know who's on the show with us. So I know a couple people said hello. I know Mr. P. Hi, Mr. P. Thank you very much as always to be on the show. I know someone else just said hello. So if you're watching the show on YouTube or on Facebook, just say hi, say hello. It would be great to know who's watching the show. As I said, you could have been anywhere tonight, but you chose to be right here, and you are not going to be disappointed, because we have got a great show for you, especially if you love Caribbean food and you want to eat the kind of Caribbean food that's not going to pile the pounds on your waist. And I said, it's our first international guest. So if you're on the line, just say hi in the comments box so I can see your name. Good evening, Donovan. Nice to see you, sir. Great. Nice to see you. Let me just say thank you very much to Mark Delgetti for a great show last week. It was a really great show. Thank you, Mark, for taking the time to come on the show. But Donovan, I know you was also on that show, so thank you very much for being with us again today. And as I said, Mr. P, and whoever that last person was, your name unfortunately didn't come up. It was great to have you on the show. So, I grew up with this concept that Caribbean food was, to a certain extent, bad for you. But it's not a Caribbean food in itself. It's about knowing what Caribbean food and how to prepare it. Good evening, Winsome. Nice to have you on the show with us today. Thank you very, very much. I know you're on YouTube. Good evening to you. It's about knowing what food to eat. And if I relate that back to my mum, who was nearly 80, if I could have prepared foods that she was used to eating, but just taken away certain things, I truly believe she could have stuck to the diet longer and lost the weight. Because one of the reasons why people stop a diet or don't prolong is because taste. Because we eat food because of taste, not just because it's good for us, but we eat foods because it tastes nice. And the reason why a lot of people don't want to change the way they eat is because they don't like eating boring food. Good evening, Catherine. Hello from London. Good evening, Catherine. Nice to have you on the show this evening. Thank you very much for taking the time out, Catherine. Because you want to eat food, you want to put the food in your mouth and you want it to taste great. And, a lot of the foods my mum used to make when she was, when I was younger, I'm so pleased I can still eat it now and making a. Good evening, Kelly. Nice to see you on the show. So today is good evening, Zilla. Nice to see you on the show. A regular listener. Thank you very, very much. Kelly from Jamaica. Good evening, Kelly. Wow. Yes. Is this the Kelly from the Caribbean tribe? I hope so. If it is, but if it is, then greetings. Thank you much. Just let me know if this is the Kelly from our Facebook group that myself and Isaiah are part of. So it's about taste. Oh, yes. Good evening, Kelly from Caribbean Keto Tribe. Caribbean Keto Tribe. Yes, that's right. I think that's how I pronounce it right. But well, she got a great Facebook group. Yes, Caribbean Keto Tribe. That's right. Myself and Isaiah are both members of her Facebook group. So Google her look her up on Facebook. It's a great group of people who just love Caribbean food. So thank you very much for that. For what you do, Kelly. So today again is about showing you how you can eat great Caribbean food and lose weight and be healthy. Because you know I don't want you to change your diet. I want you to change your lifestyle. That's what I want you to do. I want you to change your lifestyle because your future self will thank you for it. And you don't have to make massive changes, just small changes in the way you eat your food. And today we'll reinforce that. And on Wednesday, I have a session called Lean Bites Live, which I talk about the Lean Mind Body Method. And I am going to talk about sugar, the sweet toxin. I bet you didn't even know sugar was a toxin. I'm going to show you scientifically exactly how sugar does more to your brain than cocaine. But that's for Wednesday. But today is about Dr. Isaiah Joseph, a fantastic guy. But let's hear a little bit from Dr. Isaiah Joseph himself. Good evening, sir. Good evening to you from the USA. Good evening.
Good evening, Ken. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. Listen, you're my first international guest. Welcome. You will go down in history as the first one. Thank you very much for taking the time out to be on the show today because I know you have a great story and we're going to look at your book. But firstly, just tell us just a little bit about yourself, just a little bit about Dr. Isaiah Joseph.
Okay, thanks again for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here this evening. And just a little about myself. I'm Isaiah Joseph, as you just heard. I'm from the Caribbean island of Dominica in the Eastern Caribbean. But currently, I'm residing in New Jersey in the United States. By profession, I'm a school teacher. I teach science and math. And I do have a doctorate in organizational leadership. But most importantly, I do have a hobby or a pastime that I enjoy. I enjoy baking, I enjoy cooking. And I just completed a book, Caribbean inspired low carb recipes. And I think I am moving towards becoming a writer, which is something I always wanted to do. Okay, so I'm really excited to be here this afternoon,
No,
this evening.
great, and it's great to be here. And I know Baby just said, I think I pronounced her name right. Good evening, Baby. I know you was on Wednesday. Great to have you with us today. I said everybody's taking the time. Great to have us with us. So Isaiah, tell me, look, before we look at your book, tell me a little bit about your journey. What is it that set you on this path, this low carb journey path? Tell us what set you on the path.
Okay, to start off, I would like to give like just a little background of where I started. I grew up in the Caribbean where we ate lots of high carbohydrate foods very high in carbohydrates. My father was actually a farmer and he produced a lot of um, root crops, yams, dashins, tanya, cassava, and all of these things. Um, we also grew up having an abundance of fruits, the mangoes, pineapples, guavas, ripe bananas, and all of that. I grew up eating a lot of these things. But in those days, I was, pretty much active. I walked a lot, ran about a lot, I swam a lot. I love the beach, so I would always be on the beach swimming. And so I was putting all of these, the glucose produced by these foods, I was putting that into active use. But later on, I then migrated. I came to started living in the United States, and my life became less active. I became less, more sedentary. Where I would drive to go everywhere I go. I no longer had the beach that I could go to every afternoon, and so eventually I started gaining. And the thing about it also, in although my life changed, I continue eating the same Caribbean food, which I love. And eventually, I started gaining weight, especially in my abdomen area, which wasn't that attractive. But just over a year, I decided to make a drastic move with my health. I decided to change the way I eat. I decided to do less carbs. I also started taking some very good supplements, and I started doing some more exercising. I bought a bike and I go riding. But most importantly is my diet. My diet has changed and I am seeing the positive effects on me. So that's where, everything really started.
Okay. Just to be sure, your mic is coming in slightly in and out there, right? So just make sure that that is there. Fantastic. The question is, I'm asking is low carb is where you decided to take your journey to a better health. But where did you
Yes.
first hear about low carb? Where did you first hear about this way of eating?
Um, I would want to believe as very early as I always knew that the carbohydrates in food was being broken down, to glucose, and all of that can cause, you know, you to gain weight as well as have high glucose levels, can lead to things like high blood pressure, insulin resistant and all of that. So I knew that from way back, but I just wasn't practicing it, you know. But of late, I started hearing a lot of the keto diet and low carb, but I'm not right. I haven't gone as far as keto as yet, but I have just reduced the amount of carbohydrates that I eat. So I cut down on things like the breads and the rice and the pasta and all of the yams and all of that. I reduced those in my diet.
So just so people understand that keto is low carb, but keto is a more restricted version. So, for example, on an average, on a low carb diet, it's anything under say about 100 grams. Some people say 120, but because the average person eats about 320 grams worth of carbs each day. So if you eat say under 120, you're on a low carb. But for a ketogenic diet, which produces ketone bodies, it's normally below about 50 grams. A strict ketogenic diet is under 20 grams. So, so I know you were saying, Isaac, you're not so much on the keto side, but you're definitely on the low carb side, which is
Low
great.
carb.
And you know what's fantastic is you're a man and you love cooking and you love baking.
Yes, I do.
I mean that you're a woman's dream. That's it. You could be in the kitchen. You're the person,
Yeah.
and very similar to me. I love cooking, and I think that if you enjoy cooking, it makes this journey even better, doesn't it? It makes this low carb journey.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
decided to enter into this low carb journey. Just curious, what are some of the benefits that you have received so far on your low carb journey?
Starting with my weight, I lost like about 30 pounds over the
Wow.
past
Okay.
about a year and a half. Um, my I'm sleeping much better, but definitely I feel like I have much more energy than I had before, and my blood pressure numbers I didn't like where it was going, and right now it is now back to normal, which I'm very grateful about.
You know, I think that's fantastic. And we're going to talk about a couple of the benefits that you have received over the time. But as well as the benefits, you decided to step into the field of being an author and make a book, didn't you? What brought that about? What was the
Mhm.
inspiration behind you
This book.
producing this book?
Well, as an educator, I part of me is sharing knowledge. That has over the years just become part of me. So, I first started, with social media where I would post a lot of my meals. I have an album which I call Bon Appetit, and I would try to show where we could use our Caribbean food in interesting ways. But then I decided to take it one step up instead of just posting on social media, I decided to try to reach a larger audience. So I decided during the lockdown, I decided to do a book to my time while I was home to write down some of the recipes. Because what happened is, all of these things in this book, these are the meals that I prepare for myself on a daily basis.
Great. Yes.
And so I just
So
decided
you
to
know
put
how
it
they all
down
taste.
in writing.
Yes. Uh,
Yes, and mhm.
great. So let's just take a look at your book, and then maybe you could talk us through, because it looks wonderful. I've seen some of the meals, and absolutely, they're definitely some of the meals that I love, and I'm gonna try. And what's great about what you're doing is that there are not enough low carb Caribbean recipe books out there. There are not enough, and
Mhm.
it's really about re-educating people. I think that's what you're about, is re-educating people about their palate. So let's just take a look at some of the delicious recipes that you have. So this is your book here, low carb recipes. So this is the first dish. Just talk us through this dish. What is it? What is this first dish here?
Okay, this is a shrimp cauliflower fried rice, and rice is one of the things that we do a lot of in the Caribbean. In spite of the fact that we have our yams and tanya, but we still eat a lot of rice. Although it is, in my knowledge, it's not produced anywhere in the Caribbean, but we do consume a lot. But it's, as you know, rice is very high in carbs. So
Yes,
by doing my research out there, I found out that cauliflower was something I would never even pay attention to
it's an
in the
amazing
supermarket
dish.
shelves.
It's an amazing fruit.
I Yes, I found out that it is so versatile and it could be used to do basically almost anything. So I started using it in this um as a rice substitute. And in this example, I use it as the shrimp fried rice. Um the way it is done, some people could use a food processor. Some people even purchase it from the stores already
Yes,
chopped up.
yes,
But I like using the old fashioned grater,
yes.
the larger side of it, and just grate it down. And then I put it in a pan with just a small amount of butter or so, and sprinkle some salt and some onion powder, black pepper, and just stir fry it until all the moisture is gone. Because as you know, cauliflower does have
Yes.
a lot of moisture.
Yeah. Yes.
And then just I season it up with some peppers, some spring
Yeah.
onions, and
Looks
add my
delicious. It
prepared
looks up.
shrimps and all of that.
It looks absolutely delicious.
They
Good
could,
evening, KK. Thank you
yeah.
very much. I know you're a regular to the show. Great to have you on the show. I actually bought some cauliflower rice today. I actually bought it pre-prepared. Sometimes I make it. I make it. Good
Hmm.
evening, Claudia. Nice to have you with us again. And yes, Kelly, it does look delicious, doesn't it? And you wouldn't believe this is the kind of food where you doesn't make you put pounds on your waist. Look, that meal we just showed people can eat it. And the great thing about low carb is I say you eat till when you're hungry until you're full. Obviously, you don't stuff yourself, but I have never had to count a portion size since I've been on a low carb diet. And look, beautiful food there. Yeah, beautiful food. Yeah. So how long that dish take to prepare? Would you say?
It's very simple. It's a very simple procedure, and it takes roughly hmm, maybe like 10-15 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah,
you have a beautiful dish. And as you said, cauliflower rice
yeah.
is absolutely is
Hmm.
that widely is so cauliflower rice is widely available in USA?
Yes, it's found in basically all the stores.
I mean,
The cauliflower rice, the cauliflower or the cauliflower rice,
the
which
cauliflower
one?
rice cut up. I mean, when you got it shredded
Oh,
already.
yes, you find it in the frozen section in most
Oh,
of the
frozen.
supermarkets. But I don't buy those. I rather buy
Okay.
the fresh produce and
Yeah. In
very nice.
England, I've never bought. I know it does sell frozen, but I've always bought it from either. Well, I buy it a lot. I used to buy it in Asda, but now I buy it from Sainsbury's, and it's shredded
Okay.
already, or I shred it myself. I have a pulley that I shred it, but I've never bought the frozen one. But cauliflower is such a
Yeah.
versatile. You can make practically everything with cauliflower. That looks like an absolutely gorgeous dish. Let's look at one more of your dishes here. Tell us about this dish. I couldn't work out what it
Okay.
was. I was trying to work out what this dish was, but tell us about
Yeah,
this dish here.
this is a Caribbean a coconut sweetbread. This
Oh,
reminds me of my mother. My mother did a lot of
ah,
those.
lovely.
Um, it's basically the same. You follow the same recipe as you would use with regular flour, but I
Mm,
substituted coconut flour in this case.
coconut flour. Yes,
But a lot of people complain about the coconut flour not coming together, not binding as
yes,
well. So I added a little bit, a very small amount of the xanthan gum,
yes,
which helps to bind it together. Yeah.
yes,
Or you could add a few more eggs than you would do with a regular recipe,
yes.
and it helps to bring it together. And very tasty and just as delicious as the regular bread.
Yeah, it looks absolutely delicious, and coconut flour is also great for people if they have a nut allergy, because almond flour may be difficult for people to eat if they have, well, it's impossible to eat if you have a nut allergy, but yeah, if you have a nut allergy you can use coconut flour. All you ever do, if you see 100 grams worth of coconut flour in a recipe, you just substitute, divide it by two, because coconut flour absorbs a lot more. And it's great. And xanthan gum is fantastic. It really works in the same way as what would be gluten, yeah, to bind
Hmm.
together. So that's how xanthan gum works. Or as you said, you can use egg. That looks absolutely delicious. It really, 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 really does. And I
Thank
can
you.
I can believe that, the thing about what I love about food is its aesthetics. I love the color on food, and that last dish really looked. Are you the kind of person where you like to see it look pretty on a plate as well?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Presentation is key for me. Yeah.
yeah. And isn't it wonderful that we can make such, as I said, fantastic food, but it doesn't pile the pounds on our waist. And I think, yeah, I really want to drum this home to people watching this, that you can change your diet, eat delicious food, and it
Hmm.
make you not just lose weight but increase your health exponentially. As Isaiah just said, it wasn't just weight gain. It was his energy, it was his sleep. With me, it cured my sleep apnea, and it's done so much more. I mean, the kind of diet we're talking about even cures cancer. And I know it sounds like, but there are studies of people who, on a low carb, strict low carb ketogenic diet, have managed to cure cancer. Why? Because cancer feeds on sugar. The way they work out whether you have cancer is by a glucose test. Cancer feeds on sugar. Alzheimer's, dementia. I mean, if you do the research, you will see how the diet that we are talking on about, the stricter ketogenic, it is curing so many ailments. But why is it not in the mainstream media? Because you can cure yourself through food and not pharmaceutical drugs. And the pharmaceutical companies, they don't want that. They don't want you to be able to cure yourself through food. They want you to buy their drugs so they can be a pusher. Here's a lovely, beautiful recipe here. I mean,
Oh,
which one, which what? Tell us about this. I mean, this is a beautiful picture. Tell us what's on both sides. I think it's green on. So what's on both sides of this one
yeah.
here?
Well, I'll focus on the one on the left, the avocado balls. This is a food we eat mostly in Dominica, places like St. Lucia, Dominica, where typically what you would do, you would combine some crushed avocado, ripe
Yeah.
avocado, with with cassava flour, something which we
Yes.
call farine. But as you know, cassava is very high in carbs. So I'm excited about this recipe. This is my favorite. The reason is because this one came from me. I actually
You
invented
create.
this one.
This is created from you. Okay. Yeah. I like. That's good.
Yeah, yeah,
It looks good.
yeah. So what I did was I substituted almond meal, the coarse type of almond flour, and I combined it with the crushed avocado, and I add a little lime juice just to keep the freshness of the
Okay.
avocado and some salt. Now some people add other ingredients into it, but I like mine plain and simple. And
And
the reason why I really
how did you bind it together to so it held as a ball?
After I just put the gloves on and then use my hands and form it into a ball. You know, roll it. You just roll it in.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
that's it. You
You
don't
just put
do you do any
that
cooking after
makes
that?
that doesn't require any cooking, no heating, no preheating or anything.
Catherine said
You
she's
just make
definitely
it
going to
into a
try
ball.
this. Catherine likes it.
Yeah.
She's definitely going to try this. You just
Yeah.
roll it and that's it. Yes.
Catherine knows about that.
Oh, Catherine. So you know Catherine. Okay.
Yes, I
Catherine
do.
went. Okay, great, lovely.
Hi, Catherine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that looks and what is on the side? The yellow. What is that?
On the
That is
side now is the what we call the saltfish or cutfish, but
okay.
I love coloring it with turmeric, so that gives it the bright yellow color. I put turmeric in basically or everything. So
Okay.
it's just a stewed down. You get the salt out and you season it with your peppers and your onions, herbal seasoning, um, and some turmeric, and just fry it down with some. I think I use avocado oil for that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because avocado balls go. It pairs very well with fish. That's
Okay.
what you eat it most of the time.
I missed that last question. A question came in, but I missed it. So I think it was Misha. I think it was Misha that asked. Misha, could you ask that question again? Whatever that question was. Someone says they've never seen saltfish that color. What would your reply be to that?
Yes, I just what I do. I add turmeric to it to give it that bright yellow color.
Okay.
Turmeric,
Someone.
which is a natural herb, yeah.
So what did you just repeat the ingredients for the avocado balls again, please?
Okay, so it's avocado, the main ingredient, with
Yes.
almond meal or the almond flour, but I
Yes.
like to use the coarser one.
Yes.
A little bit of salt for taste and
Yes.
some lime juice. You know, anything I do with avocado, I love to put some lime juice with it just to keep the freshness and the color
Okay.
intact.
Oh, you
It's
like
a
you?
very, very, very simple recipe. Very simple.
It looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks very
Hmm.
well presented. Tell me, how did you the challenge of the photographs? Because the photographs look. Let's just because there may be people on here who might want to make a recipe book, and I think the pictures. What were the challenges of making that book and the pictures? What were some of the challenges you came across?
Well, in the context of the pandemic, you know, I wrote this book during the pandemic, well, during the lockdown, where I couldn't go out to get stuff. So I just had to script things around me, you know, and use that was the biggest challenge, getting the right props, as I would say, to go along with my food. And even some of the ingredients too, I had to, you know, just use what I had or take a chance and run out in the store, make sure I have my gloves and
Did you
you know
take the
that
did
kind
you
of thing.
take all the pictures?
Yes, I did
Oh, you
with my phone. With my phone.
you took all those pictures with your phone.
With my phone.
Wow.
Yes, yes, yes.
And they look very good. Really
Hmm.
good.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
thank you,
Fantastic. Let's go to another.
thank you.
Let's go. What's that? Claudia said, I thought the other dish was ackee saltfish. Yeah, it seems like it was just saltfish with a little bit of turmeric.
Some people think so. You know, it's
Claudia.
just turmeric. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, Catherine. Yeah, mouth watering, but yeah. That's your Catherine there. She likes that dish. Let's move on to another dish here and see how this beautiful dish here. So tell us about this dish here, please.
Okay. This one is catfish balls.
It looks like a beautiful
This is
snack.
yeah, another thing we do a lot in the Caribbean. So some people do it differently, and it's called by different names. Also, people say fish cake. Some people say catfish
Ah,
balls. Some people
okay,
say catfish. Some people make it flat and call it fritters.
okay,
You know, it's done differently, but it's usually it's done with, you know, the shredded catfish, then
okay.
potatoes, crushed potatoes, which is again high carbs. Some people add the breadcrumbs and all of that to give it
Yeah,
some extra body.
yes.
But in this case, in the low carb case, all I added was the catfish, of course, the shredded catfish, and then the almond flour. And almond flour in basically everything.
Yes.
And season it up again with some herbal seasoning, you know, your spring onions, thyme, and things like that. But because again, a little bit of the xanthan gum. I put that in almost
Oh, you put
everything that I
xanthan gum
eat.
in there as well. Okay.
Yes, to help to bind it together.
Because
But
the reason why I
it
say that is that I actually make fish cakes. I make them quite often. I never make them into a ball. I make them flat, but I've never used
flat, yeah.
xanthan gum. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's to deep fry those. It's sort of difficult, so I think it would do better in an air fryer. But in the recipe book,
Okay,
I had it. I baked it. You can just put it on some parchment paper on a baking sheet and put it in the
interesting,
oven.
interesting.
Yeah.
I, I've always fried mine. I've never baked it. So you've given me a little idea to try and
Yeah,
bake it.
yeah. With the regular flour, you fry it all the time, but with the almond flour or coconut
Great.
flour, you may want
It's
to.
an option. Have you ever done it? Have you ever done this in an air fryer?
I haven't. I tried something else in an air fryer and I didn't too like it, so I rather just
Okay,
put it in the
yeah, yeah.
oven.
It happens. So you put it in the do you actually use baking powder in this in your
A little bit.
yeah,
It's
okay.
optional though. It's optional, yeah.
Okay, well, I suppose it's halted, of course, it's slightly different. I mean, I cook this often with saltfish. Saltfish is I love it. It's a fantastic snack. But I've
Hmm.
never tried it in. I think I might have tried it,
Yep.
but I can't remember ever trying it in the oven. I may try it. It looks absolutely delicious, and it just looks like a snack. You can just pick up and eat, and you can have some
Yeah.
low carb accompaniments with this. I mean, it's amazing the
Right.
kind of food we can eat. Tell us about this beautiful looking dish here. This looks like a filling dish. This one
Uh,
here.
um, this is a Caribbean stew chicken. My mother did this a lot. Um,
Okay.
the fish I used was the reef fish. Fish like snapper, those colorful ones you catch close to the shore on
So
the reef.
this is snap.
Um,
Yes. Okay.
yeah. And all you do is cut them into steaks and then you fry them lightly.
Okay.
Season it, of course, some garlic,
Yeah.
black pepper, whatever seasoning you choose, and then you fry it lightly, and then you make a little gravy with it
Mm.
by adding add a little water, yes, and some. I love using tomato paste with my gravy and your onions, and you just cook it down for another 10 minutes or so. Then make a little gravy. Very very simple. Very simple. And you can have this. You can have this with your cauliflower rice. It will taste very well with your cauliflower rice or with as I have there on the side some string beans, green beans,
Yeah.
or any local side that you would wish to.
Yeah. Kelly said we're not being very nice today because she's fasting and we're showing her all this delicious food. I know what it's like, Kelly. I
Uh,
mean, I don't know if you're doing a 16/8 fast. This is which I normally do. If you're on a longer fast, I feel sorry for you. But needs must. We just want to show people all the wonderful food you're going to eat, Kelly, when you come off that fast. Because I've seen some of your food and it's absolutely gorgeous. Some of your food you've put together, Kelly, in your page. This looks like a beautiful and filling dish here as well. And again, I just want to repeat to people the beautiful food you can eat, and this kind of food, a 24-hour fast. That's a long one. Okay, this kind of food you can eat, and it will not pile the pounds on your waist. And I'm going to summarize that in a moment. So then we have this dish here. This is such a
okay.
color. I mean, when I see green and red and yeah, I mean, this is such a colorful dish. What is this dish here?
Okay, it's just a stir fry, but the highlight there really is the orange chicken that I used. Um, let's talk about the stir fry first. It's I have there some tomatoes, broccoli, red cabbage, and the string beans again,
Okay, yeah,
and I I cook the string beans a little with some chicken broth, and then just add it in together with the rest of the vegetables and stir fry it for a few minutes. The chicken I use orange. I use orange juice with
okay.
some monk fruit sugar
Mm,
and some soy sauce, and I cooked it down. I thicken it with xanthan gum, just a
yeah,
little bit,
yes.
just and then I fried the chicken. I think I used chicken breast there, so cut it into cubes, and then fry them, and then use the orange sauce to give it a glaze, and then just add it in with the stir fry, and just made a quick meal.
I'm gonna come back. I was going to mention something because you mentioned monk fish,
Monk fruit sugar.
monk
Monk
sugar,
fruit sugar.
monk fruit sugar. I just want to mention to everybody watching on a low carb diet, there are certain things like sugar alcohols that you can use. I mean, obviously table sugar you can't use, but there are certain sugar alcohols like xylitol, erythritol, stevia. These are sugar alcohols that won't raise your blood sugar because that's what we try to do in a low carb diet. We try to keep our blood sugar stable, which invariably keeps our insulin levels stable. So there are certain sweeteners that you can use on a low carb diet, which will stop your blood sugar raising in such a way that will cause you to put on weight because it's actually insulin rising in which makes you put on weight, which I'll go into on my Wednesday show, but not now. So when you hear him talk about sugar, these are sugar alcohols that you can actually use on a low carb diet. All right. So just want to make that clear for everybody who heard you say the word sugar there, in case they thought we're talking about no sugar here. So here we go. So this is the last. I mean, I didn't even let you know, but you got to tell me about this dish here. It just looks like a dessert to die for, or is it dessert? It definitely looks like a dessert. Go ahead.
Okay, I laughed at this one because again, this one is my recipe. I didn't see that anywhere. I didn't steal that anywhere. This is mine. Um, it's made with sea moss. Some in the Caribbean, it's known. Some places know it as Irish moss. A very nutritious, very healthy product. Very rich in iodine. So
CMOS
I
is.
I made the first.
Can I just say
Yeah, I
we
first.
spoke about CMOS on Monday in the show, and
Okay, great.
definitely. But great, go ahead. So CMOS
Yeah,
is
so
fantastic.
to prepare the sea moss, I remember back home as a child growing up, we used to go to the ocean, to the shores, and gather the sea moss ourselves and bring it home and bleach it out and put it outside in the sun to dry and all of that. But here I just buy it in the form of like the dry form, a dry form, and I wash it off and then make sure all the salt and the little sand particles are out, and then put it to boil for like about 40 minutes or so, and then
Mm,
I like putting it in a blender and make the gel out of it. Now some people can buy the gel as well,
yes,
but I like just doing stuff from scratch. So then I then flavor it with some vanilla, some cinnamon, nutmeg powder, um, and all of that, and some almond milk.
almond milk. Yes,
Traditionally, yeah, and I add a little again monk fruit sugar to it. And talking about monk fruit sugar again, it comes from a natural source, because
yes,
sometimes when people hear of the sugar substitute, they think
yes,
of the artificial form,
yeah.
but this is a natural form of sugar. And so that makes the CMOS part of it. That's the white part you see at the bottom.
So that's the CMOS
And
part
the
is the white
top,
part, and the top. Yes.
yeah, the white, yeah. And the top now is some um heavy whipping cream
Okay.
with whipped up with some cocoa powder
Cacao.
and a little bit
Yes.
of, yeah. And the top I topped with some chocolate curls. I
Lovely.
checked the carb content is very low
It
carbs on
looks.
that.
I mean, I want it now. I mean, I've got some food to eat. I would love to have that dessert now. It looks absolutely delicious. It really, really does. Someone asked about the sugar. They've never heard about the sugars, alcohols before. Coincidentally, on my show on Wednesday, I will be talking about sugar alcohols because I'm going to be talking about sugar and how it's a toxin, but how some alternative. So if you tune in on Wednesday, you'll be able to find out all about these sugar alcohols. Or you got to just subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified. And on a Wednesday, you'll be enlightened. And Catherine says, "You're torturing her." That's what she says. I mean, she's still.
Yeah,
I mean, the wonderful thing
I
is, go ahead, Isaiah. Go on. You said, yeah, and that is, I think that's your
no,
friend
I'm
as
just
well.
saying she's used to that by now.
Ah, so you have no
She's used to
mercy.
that.
You're not having no mercy. You're not having no mercy for her. Do you know that? What? So here, Zilla says she bought erythritol. It's great. They do icing version of brown sugar. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I don't. Okay, Fanta erythritol is something I use often in my baking. You know, and I think what you've actually shown just in this small time here is the great dexterity of food that you can have on a low carb diet, because I have to say, I have never had a boring meal. I have absolutely never ever had a boring meal on my low carb journey. I will say that honestly, I've
Mm-hmm.
never had. I've just been absolutely beautiful. I mean, I've done raw, I've done vegan, I've done vegetarian. I am not saying anything about those diets. They're great for whoever wants to enjoy them, but I've had times where I've had to feel, do I really want to eat this? And I've ate it for due process, even though you can create great meals. But me personally, low carb diet has been a great thing. And I think this is why a lot of people who go on it can stay on it longer, because the food's not boring. And as you showed it, and I'm just going to show you just to some, I just want let me just share a little bit about some of the things that I have made just recently. So just for me, like you can
Oh.
see in the top corner, there's a seafood paella. I made a beautiful seafood paella, and the top there you can see a carrot cake. It was a carrot and orange cake with crushed walnuts, absolutely beautiful. And then the bottom bit is the saltfish fritters. You know, don't look as pretty as yours, yes, but these are the saltfish fritters. And the pizza is actually a Caribbean pizza. The base is made with curry and XYZ, and the seasoning, the meat, and it was absolutely gorgeous. And in the middle, that beautiful looking thing in the middle is actually a cheesecake. And again, I
Mm.
just want to share examples of the kind of foods that can be made on a low carb diet. And I've made all these within the last few weeks. So for anybody who's curious about the Caribbean food and the difference in sugars, let me just show you something that I go through on a Wednesday on the Lean Bites Live. I do this every single Wednesday, and it's something called Sugar Smash, and it's a game we play just to allow people to understand how much sugar is in certain foods. And I'm just going to go for a couple of foods just to show you, because what Isaiah has shown you is some Caribbean foods with some low sugar content. So let me just show you here. So what we do, I kind of explain to people that everything you eat turns to, every carbohydrate you eat invariably turns to either glucose or fructose. Fructose is metabolized in your liver, and glucose is metabolizing in your bloodstream. But whatever happens, it both of them go to make you fat. And that's it. Simple as that. When you eat carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, they make you put on weight, because all carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, are a form of sugar. And this is what you must avoid on a low carb diet. And this is what Isaiah's recipes are all about. Avoiding all these low carb, all these refined carbohydrates.
Fine, fine.
So, for example, look, in the Caribbean itself, look, this is a dumpling. I mean, this is a dumpling that I might have eaten a few years ago, and Isaiah might have eaten. Now you have to ask,
Mm-hmm.
well, how much sugar is inside it? You measure sugar. Look. We do this. We kind of smash it about, and I'm gonna smash it. Gonna show you how much sugar is inside it. In those two dumplings, look, there are 22 teaspoons worth of sugar just in those two dumplings. 22 teaspoons. And people eat dumplings and then they eat the rice as well. So when you're just eating those
Mm.
two dumplings, that's how much sugar. Let me show you again. A plate of rice and peas. Yes, we eat that every Sunday or possibly throughout the week. Look how much sugar is in just that plate of rice and peas here, 200 grams. In there, there is, look, 5 teaspoons of sugar in that plate of rice and peas. And the great thing is, coming to what Isaiah's book is about, and this is why his book is great, and this is why the low carb diet, there are foods that we can consistently eat, Caribbean foods, like this Akin saltfish, for example. I'm eating some tonight. I've made some, eating it tonight. Look, in this Akin saltfish, there's only 1 teaspoon. So it's about knowing which
What food?
Caribbean foods to eat. And invariably, what we're doing, we're removing the starch. We're removing the dumplings. We're removing the yam. We're removing the banana. That's what Isaiah's book is about. And this is a simplistic way of how you can just make a shift in your diet and not just lose weight, but be a lot healthier. And look, as I spoke about cauliflower rice, look, this bowl of cauliflower rice, look, it's only 1 teaspoon of sugar in this bowl of cauliflower rice. So that's why he spoke about that here earlier on. 1 teaspoon of sugar in that. So I just want to give you that example just to show you how you can adjust your diet. Yes, eat Caribbean food, but just remove the starches. Wouldn't you agree, Isaiah?
Yes, yes, definitely. Which is what I've been focusing a lot of. Because when you start talking to people about changing their diet, they think that you're telling them to forsake the food that they love.
Yes,
But what I'm trying to show is we can still continue eating our Caribbean flavors, but just deciding which food we should eat and which ones we should avoid, knowing what substitute that we
absolutely.
can have, and continue using our Caribbean flavors and our Caribbean styles and presentations and all of that, but just do it the healthy way. That's my focus, really.
And let's be honest with you, when you talk about to someone who's been eating their yam and dumplings all their life, it can be challenging. Yeah, it can
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
it can because as far as they're concerned, they've
Just,
been eating all their life.
mm-hmm.
And let's
But one of the things.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was saying one of the things I keep focusing on is the fact that when we talk of the health conditions of our people as Black people, Caribbean people, they tell you that certain things are inherited,
Yes,
but in terms of certain diseases or certain health conditions are inherited. But in my opinion, in my belief, I believe that it's not just, it doesn't have to do with a particular gene. It has to do with a eating habit. So if you're eating the same way as your parents and grandparents ate, you're going to inherit the same health conditions that they
absolutely,
got from the food.
absolutely.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, and and fair enough. It's absolutely right. I mean, we kind of grow up cooking the same foods that we were given growing up, and it's about breaking that cycle. It's about, and this is what your endeavor is with your book, and this is what my endeavor is every single week, just encouraging people to break the cycle. And the sad thing is about sickness is it doesn't come knocking. Yeah, sometimes it
Hmm.
just appears, and there are so many people who are eating the foods that are making them unwell, giving them diabetes, giving them this what we call the carb belly, giving them the high blood pressure. Because it's not aggressive, they're continuing with it. Yeah, they think, oh well, I'm okay. Maybe because everyone else is like that. But we'll get to a point, and I'm going to say this, and it sounds really strong, but our food is killing us. The food
Hmm.
that many people are eating is killing them. I know it sounds strong. I know. What would you say to that statement there?
I agree. I agree. It's people take offense when you say that because people look back and they say, "Oh, my grandmother lived to be 100 years. My aunt lived to be 95." I for sure had a grandmother, great grandmother, who lived to be 115 years old. But she ate her high carbs food, I believe, but she was way much more active than I am. So I don't think we should continue. I'm not a
Yeah,
healthcare provider, so I don't like to offer, any kind of treatment plan or anything like that. But I personally don't believe that I should continue eating the same way that my great grandmother or my mother or the people before me ate, because I live a way less active lifestyle
yeah.
than they did. Yeah.
Claudia asks if there's any room next to any of us. I think she wants some daily servings of our food. You know, I'm going to come back to you in just a moment, Isaiah, and we're going to. If anybody has any questions for Isaiah, just save them up. Let me just share with the people some things that are happening. I'm going to come back to you just in a couple of minutes. some people may have some questions, and I've got a couple of like closing questions for you, Isaiah. I just want to share with you some of the things that is happening with me. I'm so pleased that I've opened up Tribe. Tribe is a membership community, and it's all about doing exactly what Isaiah is trying to do. It's about helping people not just to start a low carb journey, but to maintain it, because that's important. Maintaining. So if you're if you need to lose weight and you kind of want to gain more energy and you want to improve your health, Tribe can help you. It was opened up last week. It opened up for a soft launch a couple of months ago, closed it down to make some adjustments, but it's opened up again. And the great thing is, right, it's a 14-day free trial. So you can go on there and you can try out Tribe for 14 days completely free. And if you like it, you stay. If you don't like it, then you go. Well, it'll be sad to see you go, but I hope you stay. But you try it out. I'm giving you the opportunity because so many of you may not really understand what this diet can do for you and also what Tribe can do. There's a 40-day trial there. All you've got to do, you can go to leanlifestyletribe.com and you can join absolutely free. But let me just show you. It's a platform. Let me just show you a couple of things. Look, this is the member dashboard here you get on Tribe. So you have all these links to various parts of the dashboard. Look, we got delicious recipes just like what is inside the book there. We have food guides. We have these. I will tell you this. I haven't seen these anywhere on the internet. I have taken Caribbean food and I've broken down the sugar in them. So we have a series of fruit and food guides that will tell you, and drink guides that will tell you exactly how much sugar is in certain foods from high to low. And we have a shopping list. We have what we call cheat guides. That is all in Tribe. We have video education courses there that will teach you not just about food, but about sleep, because sleep's an important part. Sleep helps to regulate your blood sugar. It will teach you about exercise, because exercise again, and all about mindset. And also, if you join Tribe, there's a 14-day trial, but you don't just do the trial. There's actually a 14-day program that we take you through. So even if you join for 14 days and you stopped it, you would have had 14 days worth of education. So listen, try and in Tribe, and the great thing, it is also a great community there that will support you, not just for the 14 days, but long term, because community is important. But guys, we don't have to do it by ourselves. So that's what Tribe has got to offer you. Go out to leanlifestyletribe.com and join for yourself with a 14-day trial. Listen, I have my brotherhood program starting in January the 2nd. This one is only for men. Ladies, I apologize. No, I don't apologize, because I did a great one for ladies last year, but I'm going to do another one and also one for couples. But this one's for men. Men, if you register at the L.E.A.N MindBody Coach, that is my main website here, and you register before the 14th of February, you will get £700 worth, real bonuses. It's like a year's membership to Tribe. It was like personal coaching for myself. £700 worth of real bonuses if you register by the 14th. This is going to be a small group VIP coaching that was going to change people's lives. I will tell you, men, we're going to go deep on this program here. So go to the L.E.A.N MindBody Coach and register. If you fancy my book, the L.E.A.N MindBody Coach, it's not a recipe book, even though it has a few recipes on the back, but it talks about the journey that I went on to lose talks about the journey that I went on to lose weight and to kind of change my health. So you can find that book at the leanmindbodycoach.com. And also, if you go to the leanmindbodycoach.com, finally, you can try a 5-day free meal plan. It's absolutely beautiful. And in the meal plan, look, we have meals like garlic trout. We have things like jerk chicken. It's my jerk chicken recipe here. Jerk sauce recipe, I should say there. And curry salmon. Again, my recipe. Beautiful curry salmon. I've included that. And there's a whole shopping list. And there's a whole ingredients guide. There's even stuff to do with leftovers. You get this free if you go to my website, the leanmindbodycoach.com, and register. Or you can go to leanlifestyletribe.com and you can register and you get this free. Go there, sign up for my main list, and you get it immediately in your inbox. All right, ladies and gentlemen. And I spoke about my Lean Bites Live. That's happening on Wednesday. And we're going to be talking about sugar, the sweet toxin. I'll be back here 7 o'clock. Just register on YouTube and you'll get notified. That's going to be really deep. You are going to learn some stuff about sugar this coming Wednesday. And next week, Monday, we're back here. We are back here with a show and another international guest, a couple of people talking about weight loss stories, how people have lost weight using this method. That is going to be real. These are real people. You're going to hear some great stories next week here on Make Health Your Habit Podcast Live. Listen, if you're watching on YouTube, just subscribe and press the bell so you'll be notified whenever we are back on air. So if you watch on YouTube, like, subscribe, everything else. That is the adverts for now. I just want to share with you so much happening. We've got so much happening in 2021. It's going to be a great year for everyone that's on the journey that belongs to the tripod. It's going to be the healthiest year ever. It's good. It really, really is going to be a really, really great year. I don't know what happened to the guest view. Let me come back to you there, and then I'll come back to you. So let me put you back on the joint view here. So, Isaiah, I'm going to put the comments back on. If anyone has any comments for Isaiah, as we start bringing this show to a close. Isaiah, what was the greatest challenge for you on your low carb journey? What was the greatest challenge for you? Remember, anyone has any questions, put them in the chat box now for Isaiah or even myself, and we'll see if we can answer them in the last, say, 5-10 minutes of the show. What was your greatest challenge?
I think the greatest challenge was really having to resist my favorite foods. Like, I'm not too sure if I mentioned it before, but I love baked goods. I love pastries. I love cakes. I do them myself, but I still love them. I eat them a lot. So
Okay.
having to resist that was a challenge. Like when I go shopping, when I go out to the bakeries, as if I see these things calling out to me, but I have to just learn to just pass them straight. I also do bake a lot for I bake cakes at home for events and stuff, and birthdays, and even up for weddings and things like that. And when I bake certain things, I'm tempted to taste, but I just have to resist and tell myself, no, you can't have these things. So that's really the biggest challenge for me. Because I remember some time ago I had started a low carb that was way back, I think, in 2012, and I fell right back into eating my carbs
Oh,
until because
yes.
I
And this is what's so important. I think you're great to be honest there, because and this is why support is such a great thing. And this is why, and I'll be straight, the community that I have, and also the community that Kelly has on faith, it helps to support you on your journey, because we need support. I think it's imperative
yeah.
that we need support. Yes. So absolutely. I don't know if there was a question. So Kelly said, "Congratulations on your book, Isaiah. This is a fantastic contribution for those of us who love good food but want to lose weight and improve our health." So yes, absolutely. I totally,
Thank you. Thank you.
I totally concur with that. Have you
Thank
had
you, Kelly.
anybody? Let me see. So this is a great job with Tribe Care. I love your passion and drive to see others attain a healthy lifestyle. Thank you very much, Claudia. Did you have anybody really kind of come at you and try and attack you? What you doing? This low carb thing. This is rubbish. You're not doing your health any good. Have you had anybody come at you like that?
Not that forcefully, but I've had people, sort of brush it aside. Like people think like you're a sellout. You want to put aside our Caribbean food, and you
Okay.
know how dearly we hold on to our
Yes.
tradition and our
Yes.
culture. So
Yes.
I've had people like even on Facebook, I post certain things and I could sort of feel the tension, like
Yeah.
people feeling
Yeah.
like, "Where are you going with that? Why are you messing with our food?"
Yeah.
But I haven't had any strong attack or anything like that. But
Okay.
just some subtle resistance.
Oh, not yet. You will have.
Hmm.
I've had a few, because they just cannot relate to it, and especially when it comes down to eating meat. Because on a low carb diet, you can eat all forms of meat. You get really, really attacked for that, even though
Hmm.
there's no correlation science between eating meat and cancer. Yes, there is no science. There's no causal science. Correlation is different from causal. For those of you watching,
Yeah.
challenging me, you
Yeah.
show me some
Mm-hmm.
causal science, not correlation science. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
there's no causal science that red meat causes cancer, but they want to attack you, and this what puts people off. And also with the cholesterol, with the LDL and a low carb diet, your LDL cholesterol may go up a little bit, but it definitely comes back down. But it's not even high LDL cholesterol people should be worried about. It's low HDL cholesterol. Again, clubbing the serial cholesterol together and people being worried. So all of these things, and like the keto flu, people don't want to do a low carb diet because they don't want to go through this transition, but yet they'll go for a detox and understand it in a detox. Your body's changing. So you're going to have some little adverse reactions, but they're temporary, and these are the kind of things that people put them off. So someone says, I have a big stomach. What can I do to eat or remove? Well, the first thing you can do is buy Isaiah's book, because Isaiah's book will help you, baby, will help you to be able to eat foods that can reduce that stomach, and it can start you on
Mm-hmm.
that path. And along with what I do as well, it can help you. Let me just say to everybody, you didn't get this big stomach overnight, so don't expect to
Mm-hmm.
lose it overnight. Sometimes it can happen incredibly quickly. People can lose so much weight in the space of 7 to 21 days, but it's a process. But it's not a diet; it's a lifestyle. Yes. So, Mr. P said, "What's the difference between a causal and correlation science?" So, so correlation science is normally called epidemiological science, whereby what happens is done through surveys and questionnaires, and epidemiological science creates a hypothesis which then needs to be tested. Causal science is around you get that around a randomized control trial that shows a definite link. So correlation science creates an hypothesis. Causal science creates a definite link, and there are no causal science around red meat creating cancer. I hope that answers your question. I may go into it a little bit deeper on one of the Wednesday nights. Look, we're coming to a close. If there's any last questions you want to ask Isaiah, please share them now. I think your recipes look absolutely delicious. I mean, they really have.
Thank you.
I know, I know Kelly's suffering, I've got some ackee saltfish with some cauliflower rice, which I can't wait to eat. And I'm going to add some tomatoes. I'm going to do some greedy to make it colory, just like your picture. Where can people find your book, Isaiah? Please.
Um, it's available on Amazon as well as in some local stores like in the US it would be like places like Barnes and Noble and places like Target.
Okay.
But I encourage people to get it online, like from Amazon. It's very quick. For me personally, I rather to shop online. So if you search Caribbean
Yeah.
inspired low carb recipes, definitely gonna come up. If you don't see it, just put my name, Isaiah Joseph. It will show up.
So Caribbean inspired. Is it on Amazon UK or just the Amazon?
Yeah, yes, you could get it both UK as well as here in the US. There's also a ebook version that is having some difficulties. I
Okay.
uploaded it, but for some reason it's not showing up yet. But soon
Okay.
it's gonna be out.
Okay.
Yes.
And let's see, the food don't only look good. I know it tastes great. Oh, that's your fan there, Catherine. Your fan. Okay, yeah, definitely got a fan
Yeah,
there.
she knows that for sure. She
She,
does know that.
she knows that for sure. Excellent. Yes, Errol, definitely excellent. And if so, that's your book. But if someone wants to, is there a way someone could reach out to you, an email or a site at the moment, or you don't have that developed yet?
Yes, my email is my first name dot last name at gmail.com. So
Could you
it's
could you
Isaiah.
could you could you spell that out in case anybody wants to reach
Yeah.
out to you for anything, any reason?
Yes. Email is ISAIAH dot JOSEPH at gmail.com. That's my
Yeah.
email.
Yes. Yes, Mr. P. Regarding the red meat, there's a whole, I'm going to say, bad science around it. I mean, I actually may do that one day on the Lean Bites Live, because that's where I can really focus in, and I can show you the journey that we've taken to be able to have the diet that we have today, which is killing people. It's not making people. That's why obesity is on the rise, diabetes on the rise, blood pressure, cancer's on the rise, because the food we eat is not based on health. It's based on finances. It's based on what produces money. It's based on what can be stored. And the basis of that is flawed science. And, I'm willing to argue with anybody, um, and show them the journey on that, which, as I said, I've had to take my time because I know I'm challenging the status quo here. So I've definitely had to do my research with this, and I'm doing it now. I'm actually now studying, even as we speak, a diabetes reversal course here, another one. So I have that qualification again, and I've done some deep study with it. And Kelly said, "You're 100% right about the lies and nonsense surrounding cholesterol." Again, Kelly, we know that. And again, I could dissect cholesterol, but now's not the time, Kelly. I know you're. We're going. Maybe we can have a conversation. I know Kelly will be on the show one day soon, and Kelly's in Jamaica. Kelly's actually watching this in Jamaica, so that's absolutely great. You've taken the time out to watch the show in Jamaica. So I'm just going to take the comments off. It's great, everyone who's been commenting. As I listen, I just want to say to you, thank you very, very much for taking the time out. Thank you very much for being my first international guest on the show. Your book is absolutely fantastic, very colorful. And you done it yourself. You took the pictures, you created the book. I think you've done a fantastic job. And I know it won't be the last. I know that book will not be the last book that comes out your hand. And I have some conversations that I'd like to have with you about possible ways we can might be able to do some things. But I really do appreciate, your contribution to the low carb world. And also, I know there's some Dominican people watching, so be glad you mentioned Dominica
Yeah.
as well. But your contribution, as someone as Caribbean and African descent, moving into this marketplace, giving it the credibility it needs, because that's what we need. We need to have. There were years ago, vegan was a fringe movement. We want the low
Hmm.
carb movement to move from this fringe to be the mainstream, because it will save lives, and you are taking part in that process. So thank you very much, Isaiah, for
Thank you, Ted.
being on the show. Listen, guys, today was a great show. I mean, I think you've really, if you're not sure about whether you can eat Caribbean food and lose weight, I hope today has made your mind up for you. Guys, I will be here every week, Wednesday and Monday, sharing with you what I do. If it helps one person every month, or even hopefully it's more than that a week, then my job is done, because the information I have learned is life changing. And I mean life changing. This should not be hidden. We should not be eating the kind of diet that we're eating, and we do not need to give up all the foods that we eat. The obesity crisis within the Black and Afro Caribbean community does not need to be as high as it is. The diabetes crisis within the Black community does not need to be as high as it is. The blood pressure that many Black people do not need to be as high. It's the starch. Simple as that. Remove the starch from your diet, remove the sugar from your diet, and your health will improve. Listen, I like to say to you, listen, there's so many different things you could do with your health. But I think the best thing you could do is to make health your habit. Listen, guys, I will see you the same time next week with a great show. Thank you for everybody who made a comment today. You make the show as well. You have contributed. I really want to appreciate everyone that's taking the time out. But listen, the best thing you can do, guys, is to make health your habit. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Make Health Your Habit podcast live show. Remember, the views and opinions expressed during the show represent those of our guests and host alone. We hope you enjoyed the show.